Hello, welcome to the channel.
Hello, hello.
It is June 25th today, and we're going to get into the daily entry. It is called, The Wise Don't Have Problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I would love to move more into a place where I perceive there to be less problems than I currently perceive there to be problems. Because currently I perceive there to be problems where an outsider would look into the situation and be like, this isn't a problem, just do this and this and this and move on with your life. But internally, I'm calling that thing a problem.
Well, yeah, and it's also easier to see those things on others and then give them suggestions of what they should be doing versus to do it to yourself, right? Or to ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's see what they got.
Okay, Seneca says, this is why we say that nothing happens to the wise person contrary to their expectations. Nothing happens to the wise person contrary to their expectations.
Mm-hmm. So they had expectations, but if something else happened, that is now the new outcome, so there's no problem.
Yeah, it even sounds like it's going one level deeper than that, where it's like a wise person has already built in problems to their expectations. And because they've built in problems to their expectations, nothing out here happens that are outside their expectations because they expected this.
Right, but the quote is like, they don't have problems.
Well, Ryan's title for today is The Wise Don't Have Problems, but Seneca has not brought the word problem into this at this point.
Gotcha, because yeah, like not having problems does not mean that you don't have challenges.
Correct.
It's
100%.
it's like problem is a way of thinking about it, not necessarily a reality of the situation. The reality of the situation that there might be something challenging or difficult in front of us that we have to go through, but that doesn't make it a problem. So
Right.
yes, wise can be without problems
Right.
in that case, yeah.
And he's saying, and Seneca is putting the flavor on this of nothing happens to the wise person contrary to their expectations. So nothing happens to them outside of their expectations. Why? Well, they must have considered all of these different challenges, obstacles.
See, but you say all of these different. So now, do you mean that like they went through that scenario, that goal that they want to achieve and they have expectations of, and then they worked out all of these little details for every little cranny. So when it happens, they're like, well, I was already expecting.
Well, I think they game out some of it. Like they game out probably a few different scenarios, but then they also build up a trust in themselves and their ability to handle different situations. And they're expecting generally things to not go according to plan. So when things don't go according to plan, they aren't bent out of shape by it.
So it's not necessarily going into every little cranny
Right.
to plan every little step. It's like, no, maybe like a high level, like, hey, I'm trying to achieve this. I need to do these 5 things, and then they're probably not gonna go the way I'm
These
expecting.
5 things might break down in these 3 ways.
Sure, yeah, but none of them will go the way I'm expecting.
Right, that's what I actually meant by like breakdown. Like they will.
So maybe they don't have expectation. Maybe that's what it is. He's talking about like it doesn't go the way they expect, but maybe that's what it is, that they don't have expectation. They have a goal, but the expectation maybe is, they're not focusing on the expectation, they're focusing on the goal and then the results of their actions going towards that goal. But there's no like I need to get something out of this, I need to get this out of it or something. Like that's where that expectation, when it doesn't happen, it disappoints us.
Right. And that expectation can be something as subtle as like, I want to get to this meeting on time, and then like running into like but back to back bumper to bumper traffic or something on the way there and getting upset about it. It's something as small as that, but like bigger to like I'm having issues with this colleague on this project and this project isn't going smoothly, and this goal that I'm really invested in personally that I want to achieve is not happening very easily, and I keep making mistakes and running into roadblocks. Like, all of that would be accounted for in the not having expectations.
Yeah.
You want to read, Brian?
Mm-hmm.
Why do the wise have so few problems compared with the rest of us? There are a few simple reasons. First, the wise seem to manage expectations as much as possible. They rarely expect what isn't possible in the first place. Second, the wise always consider both the best and worst case scenarios. They don't just think about what they wish to happen, but also what very realistically can happen if things were to suddenly turn. Third, the wise act with a reverse clause, meaning that they not only consider what might go wrong, but they are prepared for that to be exactly what they want to happen. It is an opportunity for excellence and virtue. And if you follow it today, you too will find that nothing surprises you or happens contrary to your expectations.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of expectations for sure. I definitely have them, because that's why I know that based on like how much disappointment there is throughout my life. And the disappointment is not that I didn't achieve some sort of a goal that I set myself to, but I had some expectations of those goals, and those were completely not aligned with the result of that or something. Yeah. And then you get discouraged from it because like, well, I was planning this and I was hoping for this outcome, and I have finished that thing, but the outcome is not there. Well, I get that that's disappointing, and it also it's encouraging to give up on that thing because it's like it's now maybe now it goes into the failure category or something, like now it's a failure, and now it's just like it's all that, and it's all like, and it's not about not achieving it, but it's about the setting of that expectation at the beginning that's not realistic. Like, well, wouldn't that be great if something? Well, yeah, that would be great, but is that possible? Like, I don't go to that. I go like, oh, that would be so great. Let's go start working on something.
Yeah. He says most people just stay in the I wish X would happen and not into the, well, what realistically might happen? What would be the best thing that could happen here? What would be the worst thing that could happen here?
Yeah, no, I don't go through those. Yeah, I just go into like, oh, that would be so great. And it's like, what do I need to do to get that? Okay, maybe this. Okay, I start working on that, right? And it's like, or maybe I go like, okay, maybe this and this and this, right? And now I go start working on it. And when those three things are done, I'm not going towards that thing that I wish for. Like, it's not a goal. It's like a goal is like there's an expectation and wishful thinking here, and then goals are this way, right? And I'm like I'm doing all this work to get this wishful thinking to get into a reality, and that is very rarely that connects, right? So then I'm in this realm, and I'm like just spinning wheels for no good reason. So I feel like, oh my God, I'm overworked, I'm constantly working, but what do I get from it? Like, well, I don't see the result of my expectation setting or something. I don't get those. So that must mean that
you don't get what you expected to get.
Yeah. So then that must means I'm not doing, and so I always go into the, well, I'm doing the wrong things. I'm focusing on the wrong things. I should be doing something else. Like kind of continuously questioning of what am I supposed to actually be working on, right? I'm like confusing expectation with the goal, right? Goal is something achievable. Expectation is not achievable. Expectation is a result of doing something, right? Yeah.
Well, an expectation also implies that like there's this like personal investment of like I'm trying to will the future into becoming this thing that feels so nice inside when I think about it.
Yeah.
Versus a goal is something more like distant. It's more like, well, there's this thing over there and there's different pathways to it, and anything could happen out there on the pathway to it. There could be dragons, there could be villains, there could be bad weather.
And goal, and if I look at it, when I currently look at goals versus like this wishful thinking something would happen and setting some expectations and being in this wishy-washy world, is that like that wishy-washy world is actually like exciting and like you want to be in it, right? This
feels
goal,
good. It
this
feels
goal
good.
thing, like that's just like
that's
like
hard.
what's the goal? Well, what? Okay, now what's the goal? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I've been thinking about these goals for my whole life. What do you want to do, right? This has been asked of me since I was a little child. What do you want to do when you grow up? They're asking me for some sort of a goal or some sort of a expectation, or they're setting expectation onto what I'm supposed to become. Oh, you're gonna be a doctor. You're gonna be a whatever they're trying to like subconsciously put in my head that I should be wanting to become a doctor or a lawyer or something. And now like this whole world is now like it's like busted or something, because it's like I never learned anything about these goals, and I've learned everything about what do you want to do when you grow up. So I'm constantly going, well, what do I want to do when I grow up? Well, okay, well maybe this. Okay, so this is wishful thinking. Oh, maybe like this. Oh, I could be a pilot. Okay, cool. So okay, sounds good. What do I want to be a pilot? What do I need to do now to become a pilot, right? And so I start doing maybe I even start becoming a pilot. And halfway through it, I go like, why am I being a pilot? Like it's just completely like it's not connecting to some sort of a internal real want. I want to be this thing. I really want to be this one thing. And so I'm going to then go do that. I don't know what that one thing is. So then it's so difficult to set goals to go towards something or something, you know what I mean? So it feels
you
more,
have to want something first.
I need to want something first, and that's what I'm having a hard time with. Yeah. I don't really know what I want. And I don't actually even think that is even accurate ever for anyone. Like somebody says, I really, really, really want this. Until when? For how long? Are you willing to put 20 years of hard work behind this? Do you even understand what are you signing or yourself up to? Like nobody knows that. So is there somebody out there who says, I know what I want to be when I grow up, and now here I'm going to go achieve it, and when I do, I'm going to be a happy person? Like, no, like I don't believe that. That's why I don't want to almost even go into the world of, well, what should I become? What goals should I set for? Because those goals have to be aligned with a further goals of what do I want to become? And if I'm not sure about that, that makes it kind of difficult, you know?
I mean, nobody says that you have to want something for the rest of your life. But if we want to feel like a sense of purpose and fulfillment in life, like I have to dedicate myself to something or some things. And for the time being, it's like, well, I only know that I want this much of something. I don't really know what that entails. But what actually is a source of happiness is being connected to my wants. So it's not necessarily like this thing needs to now happen this way. It's like, no, I'm plugged in with myself. I feel that I want this kind of general direction, this flavor, and I'm going to move towards it. And I'm going to be okay with the fact that there's obstacles and challenges and setbacks and mistakes and disappointment, because there would be all of that no matter what path I chose. Even if I decided that like, I'm just going to take whatever's the easiest path in front of me, and I'm just going to let life decide all of my moves and all of my directions. Even if because that feels easier, that's not actually easier, because I'm still dealing with all of the nature of life being that it's one step forward, two steps back. And on top of it, I'm doing it in this way where I'm alienated from my wants and I'm alienated from myself. And so I can kind of like coast by for a while, but every now and then, like when I feel unfulfilled in my life, like it's a shitty thing. Like I can't like continue to move on in that direction. It's like I have to figure this thing out. And for me, like figuring that out has been like wanting things, wanting to help this wanting to figure out this problem, wanting to help this group of people, wanting to pursue this interest because it feels so good when I'm engaged in this interest and I feel alive with it.
I mean, I guess there is something that I want. I want to be more, not in the past and the future, but more like observing the current moment that is right in front of me, and being in like almost like mindset of like, wow, how amazing this is that this even exists. Like I want to be, that's what I want. I want to be that. That's the goal. Achieving something in this environment, financially or career-wise or something like that does not connect with me at all.
I mean, me neither. I
Yeah.
don't have those. I mean, I have really strong goals, but none of them have to do with this is how much money I want to make, or this is like the title I'm trying to go towards. My goals are all having to do with like, I want to figure this out in the world, and I want to go help people. I want to go help us all figure this thing out of like what it means to like be a good manager of our body in 2023 in our current situation. Like that is such an exciting idea, problem to go solve now, that I'm like so energized by it. And it's looking like, oh, okay, I email my list once a week and I create a posture challenge and I do this. Like those are like the tactical elements of it, but it's not plugging up into like, I want to be a famous yoga teacher. It's plugging up into like, this is a really interesting problem that I want to spend my like mental juice solving.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like, I mean, that's ultimately what job is for me, right? Like going to work, like, yeah, there are interesting problems to solve over there. Like that's, like, I don't dislike it. No, it's actually fun because like I'm now in present moment and there are people in this present moment flipping out about things and I'm like, wow, like I gotta observe all this and like react to it, and like I want to be more in that world versus like this like far goals in the future and me somehow orienting myself towards them in some way. Like that if I have to choose one of those goals that is like I want to become this, then that goal is to become more like more about this right now, not about like some past or future kind of wishful thinkings, you know. But I don't even know if that's like that. All of those things are just states, right? You come in and out of them. So I don't like. What is the goal? To always be present, always be never.
Or maybe just spend more of your time.
No, that well, that's what I'm saying. Like that cannot be the expectation, right? So I cannot, and this is where with the expectation I get in trouble with, because I would say, well, I want to be like that all the time, right? And that expectation is not right. It can never be like that, right? So like, oh, maybe expectation is be in it more of the time. Okay, well, that's more doable, right? That's more achievable than this other thing of always be perfect, always be like this, always be this, always be this, right? Like it's that's when I get lost in it or something. When there's just this one thing or something that I have to be doing.
Always, I remember my mom used to use always and never in fights all the time, and that was like the one thing my dad would stick up for himself on. He was like, that's not fair. Like, you can't say always or never because that doesn't point to something real. Nothing is always, nothing is never. It's always a fluctuation of things.
It's always a fluctuation of things.
Yeah, but you get the point. And
it's not even that. It's not even always a fluctuation of things. Yeah, it's like wrapped on itself. Yeah.
Well, this one was good. Yeah, those expectations. Sometimes I think I don't have expectations, and then something happens that ruffles my feathers, and it's revealed that, yes, in fact, I did. All right, let us know what you thought of today's entry, and we'll see you here tomorrow.